Views and opinions of any of the guests of After Hours AM are not necessarily the views and opinions of After Hours AM, its hosts, its staff, or any of its affiliates.
Welcome to the After Hours program.
Are you ready?
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Now broadcasting live from the After Hours AM studio, Joel Sturgis and Eric Olsen.
And we had a devil child. Devil child got glowing eyes, a pointed finger and a red whale. Devil child got soul to mine. My baby had a devil child. She got horns on her head and a head on mine. Demon seed at night, breed a wish of desire. A dead child of guns, blood, a favorite drink. A child to the devil's card. Devil child got
And welcome to After Hours AM, everybody with us. North, south, east, west, AM, PM. It doesn't matter where you are right now. It's After Hours AM time. I'm your host, Joel Sturgis, right along with me,
Eric Olsen.
Hey, Eric, man, how the hell you doing?
I am doing pretty well. This has been another one of these really hectic periods with just all kinds of madness with the family, health stuff, just everything you guys have already heard. No need to reiterate it. But today, things seem to be kind of back, heading in the right direction. Looks like Dad's finally getting out of the hospital again. Yay! So that'll be good. And my mother, boy, a corollary of my dad being gone so much is my mother has become much more independent. So that is very good.
Very
and so
cool.
Things are moving along. We're looking forward to our trip over spring break. We're going to go out to Oregon. Now we're kind of realizing we're going to expand it. We're going to cover that West Coast from the Redwoods.
Do it, man. Do it.
To Seattle.
Do it.
Seattle.
Do it.
Everything in between.
That'd be a great time right there. That would be a wonderful time and a much-needed break for you guys.
Oh, my
Great
God.
road trip.
But we're not missing any shows.
Well,
No missed shows.
we cannot have you
so-
gone, man. I mean, you are 50% of the dynamic duo. Otherwise, you just get me, and no one wants that to happen. Trust me.
Oh, no.
Trust me.
But it'll be fun because I'll be
Well,
in a different location and we'll be in a
yeah.
different time zone.
Very
and-
cool. Take lots of pictures, man. Show it to everybody, and then we're expecting a story from the road. Maybe a couple stories that you ran into. You're bound to run into something strange, unusual on that
There
trip.
may be more than one. And check this out. Guess who I'm going to meet in person.
Who?
Clarissa.
Really? Are you really? Oh, I am. Well, tell her hi. Give her a big hug for all of us. From
I
all
will.
of us that love her. And last night, in fact, we had a great show last night. And again, I'd like to thank Clarissa for coming on, and of course Mark Stone for being a great guest. And boy, did we cover some ground last night. It was a lot of time. And now, if you have not caught a Wednesday edition, which most of you have by now, but if you've not caught a Wednesday edition of True Crime Wednesday After Hours AM, it's worth checking out. We are the only show, get this, Eric, we're the only show that I'm aware of anyway, and anyone else is aware of, unless there's one out there we're not aware of, we're the only one with a practicing forensic psychologist as the co-host.
I know. It's an amazing thing. And she's not only extremely educated and knowledgeable and experienced in her field, but she's a very interesting person. She has a really great personality. She has clearly not been jaded by the job, which it sounds like, man, you have to be a special kind of person not to be.
I would be jaded, man. To be honest with you,
I would too.
I would definitely be jaded. I don't think I could do what she does. But then again, hats off to her. And you know what, Eric? We're giving away a book tonight, man.
Fantastic.
Right here You can hear me doing the pages. Hot off the presses, Llewellyn Publishing. Thank you so much. Send me a copy to give away on air. Haunted Bridges. Rich Newman's new book, Haunted Bridges. And he also has written a ton of other books, but this is over 300 America's creepiest crossings. This can be yours if you can answer one question. And I was kind of thinking, hearkening back to last night's show, if you can tell me what historical law enforcement officer was the city of Cleveland's safety director in 1934, you can have this book. The first one to answer correctly. Now, you might have to go back, listen to the show. You might have to do some digging. But you need to tell us who that infamous or famous, however you want to look at it, law enforcement officer was. And you'll win this book. And when you do email us, because that'll be at afterhoursam@gmail.com, make sure you include your address. We get a lot of these giveaways. They'll give me the correct address, but you know what they forget to do, Eric? The answer, they'll give me the right answer, but they'll forget to give me the address.
And that's not helpful.
That's not. And I just, going through all the ones that do come pouring in, I just don't have time to, get back and say, hey, by the way, you won, but what's your address? So even if you think you're wrong, right, or indifferent, just add your address in there just in case. I don't keep them. I delete them all, so don't worry about that at all, about your address getting up. But if you think you won, make sure to include that address so we can ship this off to you. Compliments of After Hours AM and Llewellyn Publishing Worldwide. There, done.
Fantastic. Wondrous. Yes, we love giving things away. It's really fun. And like Joel said, we really encourage you to check out that Wednesday night show with Clarissa, our 3-hosted show. And that is our true crime show. After Hours AM, The Criminal Code.
Yeah, that's where things get real.
And by the way, your trivia question, I would definitely call him really one of the last true American kind of unflawed, I mean, not really, but relatively unflawed American heroes. This was a guy, he was incorruptible, he was dogged, he was smart, he was determined. He was what you want a lawman to be. That is for sure. Yeah,
he is even better than, well, some would say he was more influential in a lot of ways than J. Edgar Hoover himself.
Possibly so.
I've heard that thrown around, that things like that. So you got to do some digging and just, again, tell us who Cleveland, Ohio's very own city safety officer was in 1934. All you got to do is tell me who that guy was, because they installed him during the 35 years. And he was there for quite some time, but he is also extremely famous, and maybe you'll even be shocked that he did play that role.
Exactly. I didn't know that. I certainly didn't know that before I moved here to the Cleveland area. And then I was very surprised to find what an intimate connection he had. He was here after, well, if we give any more away, we'll give it away.
Well, anyway. Exactly. But we have a great guest on tap today. We got all sorts of stuff going on tonight, man. We got it all going on. And tonight we talk paranormal.
Thank goodness. And not just paranormal, but back to ghosts, my friends.
That's right. Back to the good old-fashioned spooky type paranormal. Who is our guest tonight, man? Who is our guest tonight?
I am very excited. We are reaching our great arm down under. And we are speaking with Aussie, leader of Access Paranormal, Beth Luscombe. And what she does, besides just being a regular old investigator, is she was determined and focused and organized and smart enough. She has put together an entire program of how to be a paranormal investigator. So she can help you get started from the very beginning. If you've done nothing whatsoever, she'll help you get off the ground and get started in the field that can seem pretty intimidating. If you're already on the path, she can help you move to the next level. So we're very excited about that, and she does that all through her website and online learning via Access Paranormal down in Australia. She's had a really interesting career and has a lot to say. Cannot wait to speak to her.
I can't either, but this week has been a hard week, particularly the last couple of days on Facebook. I converse with a lot of people on Facebook just because I'm a Facebook guy. I mean, you're a Twitter guy, I'm a Facebook guy. And we were talking about birds, and that brought back a little bit of PTSD, man. Did I ever tell you about the time where I was locked hand-to-hand combat with a parrot?
No. Please do.
Years ago, I was locked in, I guess it'd be more aptly mentioned, would be hand-to-wing combat with a parrot.
To be precise.
To be precise, my relative had, those parrots that the pirates always have on their backs, and it goes, all right, and it talks. You know what I'm talking about. I don't know the species of parrot. I don't care that much because, quite honestly, birds of day freak me out just a little bit. In fact, I always make sure the chicken's dead before I eat it. I poke at the fork extra hard. Okay, it is dead because of this. It was really traumatic. Relative of mine, it was horrible. A relative of mine owned one of those really great big parrots. You would expect it to be on the back of a pirate, that whole thing. And they left town for a week. And of course, I drew the short straw to be the parrot, the keeper of the parrot, as it were. Feed it, take care of it. And I did not know at the time that this was actually a very vicious parrot. I really did not know this because the owner was always around. And it was always sweet and it was always cuddly. And, oh, look at it, does the tricks, that whole thing, right? So I go into the house to feed the parrot, and then, of course, once a week I got to clean the cage, Have you ever had a bird, Eric?
We did, but long ago. And it was when my oldest daughter, who is now pregnant and 32, when she was a little tiny girl, and she named the bird because her first interaction, she named the bird after her first interaction with the bird. Would you like to know the bird's name?
Tweet.
Birdie Bite.
Exactly, and that's where I'm going with this story. All right, so
Bite.
You already have a good indication where this story is going. So I go into my relative's place to go feed the bird the first day. Not a big deal. I mean, it's a little aggressive. But I'm thinking, you know what? It doesn't know me that well. So I'm not expecting it to be all cuddly and awesome and, hey, come sit on my shoulder, that whole thing. I get that. Sure, I get it. Standoffish. All right, cool. So the time comes where I have to actually clean the cage. Now, that requires taking the bird out of the cage.
Exactly.
So they had two cages. One for while it was being cleaned, the main cage, so going to auxiliary cage. And then, of course, they did the thing and hop back in and do, they had no trouble with Oscar, was his name, by the way. Oscar's domicile. They had no trouble with him. I try to do it, right? I open the door, right? I'm there. Imagine the cages where it's all bars. Steel bars. There's a door that slides up. I mean, this is a big cage, by the way, for a big bird. So I open the door, and what they told me now, and I quote, you open the door of the auxiliary cage first, and then you open the door of the main cage. Oscar will hop to the other cage knowing what's going on. BS. Okay, I opened that door and it was nothing but feather, claws, and beaks. He went full Chuck Norris on me, man. Full Chuck and I didn't know this. He knew how to swear. So on top of kicking my ass like Chuck Norris, roundhouse kicks, beaks, the whole bit, it's cursing me out. All right, screw you. All right, screw you. Can you imagine that? Only he wasn't saying screw you. You know exactly what he was saying. And so I'm getting my ass kicked by this parrot, and I'm looking for anything to help me. At this point, I am losing a battle with a parrot, Eric. Think of how humiliating this is. I'm getting my ass handed to me by a parrot that's not only beating me up, but cursing me out while he does it.
Wow.
So this parrot is going crazy.
Humiliating.
It is humiliating and demoralizing, to say the least. So while it's kicking the ever-loving crap out of me, and believe me, it's flying around me and hit me from here and hit me from there. I really, quite honestly, even if I wanted to fight back, I couldn't fight back. That thing was that quick, okay? So while it's beating me up, I happen to, in my, state of running for my life, notice that they had a blanket on the couch. The only way I could subdue this parrot from hell, Satan's parrot, is to throw a blanket over it while it was in midair coming at me. Woof. Blanket goes over the parrot. Parrot falls to the floor going, you son of a gun, I'm never going to get you. So I don't know what to do at this point, all right? I got this mad parrot under this blanket. So I sit there, and I'm holding this blanket down going, Oscar, you be nice. Like he really understands what I'm saying, okay? Like a bird really can listen to reason, Let's talk this out, Oscar. I don't want to get my butt kicked anymore. So after about 20 minutes of me holding down this blanket, he stopped moving. The parrot. And that's exactly, I'm like, oh no. And these people love this parrot. I'm talking like more than their children love this parrot.
Yeah,
like
some
this
people are like
parrot
that.
was everything to them. So the blanket stops moving. I'm thinking, now I'm really screwed. Okay, A, I got my ass kicked. I'm bleeding. B, where am I going to find a parrot that looks just like this one, knows the same words? And C, I'm a dead man because they're going to find out. Well, luckily, I see, after about 20 minutes of holding down this blanket, this blue blanket with, elephants on it and everything, I start seeing the parrot move a little bit.
Oh, thank God.
Thank God. I'm like, woohoo, at least you're alive. But then it hits me like a shot that, oh, crap. It's going to try to kill me again. I mean, I still have to get it into that cage and then get back to the main cage. And so, you know what? What I did was I held that blanket, grabbed it, threw him in the cage, shut the door, did what I had to do, grabbed the blanket, threw him back in the main cage. But he got up. And I swear to God, to this day, he gave me the middle finger. And he was like, buddy, it's
The middle claw.
The middle claw.
No, actually, no, the middle talon.
It was just a horrible thing. So now I see these people on Facebook, and God bless them, by the way, that love their birds. Totally get it. Nothing against birds. Well, I guess that's a lie. I have a lot against birds. But it's okay if you love birds. But that brought back that whole feeling of dread, right? I woke up last night, a cold sweat, thinking about this combat. With this bird.
My Lord. What a hellish nightmare.
It was such a mean damn bird. I mean, it was, the owners would come around, it was sweet as pie, man. It would get on the shoulders, it would dance, back then Britney Spears was what everyone was listening to. So, oop, I did it. And it would dance to it, right?
Oh, my Lord.
I never thought this bird had murder on his mind. I didn't know that. I didn't realize it was the H.H. Holmes of birds. I didn't get that at all until I was alone with it.
You didn't get that memo.
No, I didn't even get the feeling of that. I thought, how hard could this be? Take care of the bird, not a big deal.
That is a bipolar bird.
Oh, my God. That bird needed Zoloft or something.
Or just, to be held under the blanket a little bit
Or looking back, it wouldn't have been a worst thing in the world if it just would have held a little bit tighter.
Yeah, the world might have been a better place.
It might have been. It might have been. And so then, of course, they get back from their trip, and, well, how was things with Oscar? Oh, you don't even want to know. And then Oscar...
It was that good.
It was that good, but then Oscar said the MF word. When
Lord.
he looked at me, and they've never heard him say this word. See, this parrot was extremely smart. I did not know this.
Wow.
And it could, if you played a movie, it would repeat pretty much everything. Andy Griffith theme all day is the only thing I think it would whistle all damn day until it wanted to curse you out, evidently. And that thing knew swear words better than it knew normal words. That was the funny part.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't think that's terribly unusual,
Yeah, I looked back at the bird. It looked back at me like, next time, buddy. This is going next time. So I told my relatives, hey, you know what? It was a rough time. He tried to kill me, not once, but twice. I'm not sure what you're giving this bird, but it knows Taekwondo quite well. And you might want to watch yourself.
He's been watching YouTube videos on the sly.
I went through the whole rendition of what I had to do, and of course they're like, are you kidding me? No, I'm not even joking, guys. This is what really happened. And of course, they didn't believe me. They're like, the bird would never do that. You don't seem to understand. Oscar's a gentle soul. No, he's not. He's a murderer.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you that... Sadly, that's not terribly unusual. Some of the most devoted and wondrous pets to their owners are awful, to everyone else.
Horrible. Like I have a Chihuahua that looks possessed. He looks like Satan just inhabited his body when he sees another dog.
I'll tell you what. I wasn't gonna subject you guys to this, but I have an animal story from just today.
All right. Okay.
All right, so you've heard about Chico, right? Our half terrier, half Chihuahua.
How is
who's only had
Chico
about
doing?
3 months and who's a living nightmare.
Yeah, I do know about Chico.
All
And
right,
a
so
living
we got
nightmare,
Chico.
though. I thought you guys were getting close.
Well, he and I are pretty close because he sits in my office all day because we can't let him roam the house, so we got to contain him and confine him.
So you bonded with the dog.
Rather than leave him in his crate all day long, which even I think would be cruel, I let him here roam free in the office, and sometimes he sits in my lap. I have become his closest human companion just because we're together all day. You know what I mean? So I also walk him the longest. I'm the one who gives him the most free rein in terms of poking around, exploring. He sure loves to do that. All right. So anyway, we're out for our once a day. I go on a long walk, like maybe anywhere from a half hour to even as long as an hour if I feel like it. So we're out today. It's kind of the first thing I do once I'm up and ready and dressed. And we're out, and he's doing his usual thing. And one of the things he does that is just bizarre, I know other dogs do it, but he does that thing where he finds something that interests him. I don't know what it is. I haven't figured that out yet. And then he rolls around and writhes on his back. Have you seen a dog do that?
Yes, I have. And generally, they're doing that in poo.
It's
I have heard that.
There may be where the only thing I could see he's doing it pretty tall grass, which is still beat down because it's still winter here. But so clumps of grass, and he kind of rolls on top of them and writhes around and makes all kinds of weird sounds and gestures, and he just looks like he's completely freaking out. Or he's doing the gator from Animal House. Remember?
Yes, I do.
And they're all flopping around on their backs. All right, so anyway, this is semi-normal for him. He'll do it 2 or 3 times on a long walk, and I let him do it because, man,
get him off system. Right. Yeah, I hear you.
So what happened this time, and I didn't notice right away, was the clasp on the leash.
Oh, no.
While he was rolling around upside down, somehow he pried it open, and it stuck in the open position. So as he took a couple steps away from me, it came off. It came out of his collar.
You do realize you're going to be to blame for all this, right? That you will be the bad guy.
So I was only 2 or 3 steps away from him, and I noticed what's going on. I notice he doesn't know yet. So I'm speaking very softly, and I'm walking very slowly and gently toward him. I bend down. The moment my hands are about to pick him up, he notices that he is untethered, and he takes off not like a bat out of hell, but like a rocket ship out of hell. This is a fast-ass little dog. I am not kidding. I mean, he doesn't touch the ground for 20 feet at a time. He just goes bounding.
Just bounding,
anyway,
yeah.
He was just gone. I wish I could fully describe. Let me say it's a kind of a mixed area with it's a lot of woods, and it's suburban, but kind of the far suburbs, so it's almost ex-urban. It's almost rural, but there's a lot of woods in between all these houses, and they're all kind of hidden. And there were roads. We're talking across the street from my house. There are little side roads, little residential roads. I didn't even know they were there.
Really? So were you panicked at this point?
Utterly panicked. Here's an example of what he did for 45 minutes before I caught him. We were right by a fairly main road, not a really main road. We live on a quite busy 45-mile-an-hour road. This was an offshoot of that, more like 35-mile-an-hour, but lots of cars, lots of trucks. No one's going under the speed limit. We're all going at least 35.
Yeah.
He is zigzagging, serpentine across the road just to annoy and horrify me. He almost got hit about 5 times. One time this truck slams on its brakes just in front of his face. The guy opens, because he sees me running toward him, he opens up his door. Then he even opens the other door. Chico hops up into this guy's truck.
What?
I think, oh, thank God. Thank God. And then he bolts out the other door. That was halfway through. So I, who am deeply into middle age, let's face it, I am not even at the beginning of middle age. I'm in the middle, maybe even a little toward the end of middle age. I sprinted, not kidding, full out sprint 80% of the time for 45 minutes.
Wow. So
I was hacking up hairballs. There was stuff coming up. When did that get in there, man? Like when I was 25 or something? I mean,
yes.
my God,
yes.
it was unbelievable.
Yes. And
Finally,
then,
just some guy, some guy. And we were almost to the main highway, the 55 mile an hour.
Oh, that would have been bad.
Oh, my God. We're about a half block away from it. Some guy hears all the commotion. Oh, my God. People are coming out of their house. I'm yelling so loud. People are coming out of their houses to see what's going on. They see this guy running, trudging down the road after screaming out this dog's name. So finally, he heard all the commotion. He came out of the house. His dog was barking, and Chico went up to this guy's dog, and he picked him up.
Oh.
45 minutes
Wow,
later.
man. You went through 45 minutes of pure, unadulterated hell.
It was utter hell.
I mean,
of course, in a panic the entire time.
Well,
If
sure,
anything
because
happens to him,
visions
you're
are going.
right.
Yes,
it's my fault.
yes.
My children will never speak to me again.
And the tears rolling down their eyes. Daddy, how did you let Chico die? All those things going through your head, and next thing you know, he's got Chico, and you're able to get home. But after you ran everywhere, you had to walk home yet.
And
So
it was about a mile and a half. That's how far away we were.
Man, he went far. He went fast.
Bat
Jeez.
out of hell.
Yeah.
Oh, he's perverse. He's just perverse. And he would. I could tell that what he was doing was just going crazy and running maniacally hither and yon over hill and dale. But if he was completely out of my sight and wasn't hearing me, he would backtrack until I could just catch a glimpse of him.
Don't you hate that when they do that, though? When they get out, and, of course, they're toying with you at that point. They're just toying
taunting.
with you. Yes.
He's taunting.
Exactly. He's taunting you, because I've had the same thing happen. My wife has a cat named Patches the cat, right? Named, its full name is Patches O'Houlihan, but that's a whole nother story. Well, Patches, you see, likes to get out once in a while, and when she does get out, we are supposed to try to track her down or chase her down. Do what you did with the infamous Chico. She will let you get within a foot or 2 feet of her and then take off. It's that whole stop, let you get close to take off. And then there's a point where finally I'm done. Whatever, cat. You want to get hit by a car, so you want something to happen to you, fine, whatever. It's on you, not me, buddy. And I go home. Well, once the chase is over and the fun is had, to be had, and it's clear that I am no longer chasing, she comes home.
Naturally. Sadly, I would not make that assumption about dumbass Chico.
Well, yes, and I live in a town of 2,000 people. Everybody knows me, and I know them, so, and everybody, by proxy, knows my cat. So, when they do see her...
2,000 people... within a mile.
Oh yeah, you live in a big city, so and that's
it's
even
a suburb, but
that's even more nerve-wracking because you also have abduction to worry about. Look at the cute puppy, Daddy, can we have her? Next thing you know, Chico's or worse yet, I hate to go there, and this might garner an email or two on a dinner table.
We're not in Vietnam.
Well, I'm just saying
it is Omaha. But
I'm just saying.
Anyway, it was just horrifying. And then, of course, not only was I obviously completely winded and worn out and sweaty, I had to change all my clothes. I had to literally start over again from scratch with my clothes. But I had so much adrenaline going that I started going into I had that. You ever had the adrenaline hangover?
Yes,
where you
I
kind
have.
of start shaking and you feel chilled and you just feel kind of sick.
Yes, I
so
have.
That's what happened to me after.
Yes, yes, I have. Unfortunately,
sick and awful.
Yes, I have. But we got to run a break. But before we do that, remember we're giving away a great book, Haunted Bridges by Rich Newman. And, of course, to win that, you have to tell me who Cleveland, Ohio's city safety manager or city safety worker was in the early 1930s, and he was a very famous law person. So dig that up, and the first one to hit me up with an email with an address, a mailing address, wins their very own copy of Haunted Bridges. Think on it, look at it, Google it. We'll be right back right after this. Hey, you listen to After Hours AM, and if you're listening to us via podcast, make sure you like us, follow us, review us, tell your friends about us, tell grandma about us, and keep listening.
It's your ideas, work, and creativity that make it your yard. At ACE, we're here to help with hoses and sprinklers to nurture growth, gardening tools for the shape of good things to come, even the right fertilizer and bug killers to make the grass a little greener. You'll find it all now at ACE, your place, with everything you need for your yard, plus helpful advice, almost like we're right there. ACE,
the helpful place.
Anavar Media LCC is a dedicated team of professionals committed to helping business development scale and protect their websites, mobile applications, enterprise software solutions in the Northeast Ohio area. Locally owned since 2012, our client-centered values truly sets Anavar apart. Contact us today to learn how you can get 25% off your first project. Call them at 234-380-4852. Again, that's 234-380-4852, or visit them at www.anavar.com. Again, that's www.anavar.com.
Taking a family of 5 to the amusement park can cost a small fortune.
Oh, yeah. So to save some money, we thought, hey, let's bring the amusement park to us.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right, step right up, young man. Are you ready to ride the wacky waterfall?
That's just the bathtub with the shower head running.
Nope, it's the wacky waterfall.
It's the shower, Dad.
Waterfall.
Wacky.
There's an easier way to save. To get a free rate quote, go to geico.com. Then buy online, over the phone, or at your local Geico office.
You're listening to After Hours AM, the best in alternative talk radio. Got a question, comment, guest suggestion, or just want to say hi? Contact us at afterhoursam@gmail.com. That's afterhoursam@gmail.com. Want to call the show and be interactive? That's easy. The number is 612-326-6874. Again, the number is 612-326-6874. And thank you for listening.
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
Kicked down, but not forgotten. Left alone, ain't gonna take it lying down. It's alive, is what you make it. All my time, gotta reach out and take it.
And welcome back to After Hours AM, everybody. Again, it is Prize Thursday. We're opening up the old vault, and courtesy of Llewellyn Publishing, we're giving away a copy of Haunted Bridges by Rich Newman. And, of course, that trivia question is, if you could tell us who Cleveland, Ohio's safety manager was during the mid-1930s, and he was, of course, again, a lawman of some fame or a lot of fame, depending upon how you look at it. Email that answer. Be the first to email that answer to afterhoursam@gmail.com. Include your answer and your physical mailing address, and we'll get that out to you again, courtesy of Llewellyn Publishing. And, of course, now it's time for, guess what time it is? Wait for it. America's Most Haunted Headlines, brought to you by America's-most-haunted.com. Your one source, your one-stop shop for all things paranormal.
Grooviness, absolutely. All things paranormal, spooky, and amaze-mo. Yeah, head on over to Twitter, my friends, twitter.com/AMHaunted. So we're at AM Haunted. That's the America's Most Haunted Twitter feed. And we are rolling along now with 452,000 followers, which is more than a handful. And we encourage you to follow us, and you can retweet, and you can like, and you can send me a DM, although I never look at them.
What is a DM? What is a DM?
Direct message.
Oh, gotcha. See, now over at the Facebook world, it's PM. Private message.
Yes, and while I do use the Facebook private message capability, there's just too high a volume on Twitter. I mean, I get dozens an hour. So, yeah. And most of them are just robo stuff, hey, thanks for following me, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, you can reply to a tweet, and I will always see that, and I will always reply to you. So let's check it out. And the reason to go look at it is you can see the pictures, you can follow the link.
Be one of us. Love us.
Be one. All right, good old Emma Roberts. I don't think Scream Queens is coming back. That is my sense. I really had a sense that it was petering out in season 2. So my guess is it's not returning. I like season 1. It was fun. It was, it's kind of a parody. It was trying to walk the line between a self-parody and a genuine slasher show. And it never quite exactly worked. There was some stuff that was good. But anyway, Emma Roberts is back making movies, and she's in a new horror movie called The Black Coat's Daughter.
Really? It looks kind of cool. I like the picture, the artwork, and hopefully it's scary. I've been waiting for a really good scary movie. And by the way, if you haven't seen Don't Breathe, that's a really good scary one, Eric, if you're looking for something to spook you.
Yeah. Hey, my son, who is a total he's a comic nerd. Not so much that he reads the comics, but he follows it all, and he does read comics, but he sees all the movies, he knows everything that's going on. So we went to Logan. He and I
did that as well.
He had to go with a parent because it's R, and he's only 13. So we saw Logan, and wow, it was powerful. Lots of swearing, really, really bloody and quite dark.
It really was. I was taken aback how gritty and dark it was because
it was really gritty.
Other than Deadpool, all the other Marvel properties have been pretty family friendly.
They've been PG-13.
Yes,
and this definitely are. Lots of swearing. The themes were dark. It was much more adult themes. And it was very bloody.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought Patrick Stewart did a masterful job playing that part. And
he was.
Hugh Jackman, of course. Last time we're going to see him as Wolverine, by the way. So if you want to see him.
I've heard they're already retrenching on that, possibly.
Really? That he may come back? Wait a minute, though.
Well, it was a huge hit. Yeah, it was the biggest opening of the year.
But here's the deal. We know the ending. And we're not going to give away, unless we want to say spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert, and then we'll talk about the ending. So turn down your radios if you haven't seen it. You don't want to.
Spoiler.
Exactly. Turn down your radios now. I'm making 1, 2, 3. Radio should be down. Okay. They killed Logan at the end of the movie. All right.
Unambiguously.
Yes, he's dead. Dead. How do they plan to bring Logan back? How would they bring Wolverine back to this universe when he is clearly dead?
Flashback.
You think they'd use a flashback deal?
Flashback form, or even I was going to say like Vera Farmiga is on all of this final season of Bates Motel, even though she's dead.
Well, true, but, it is the Marvel Universe, so imagine someone could come along and say, well, he's Logan. All we have to do is give him the serum. Come right back or something. So, I mean, they could easily write him back to life. But dig him up, I saw a disturbing movie. It's been out a long time. I recently, just today, got Amazon Prime. I was ordering things off Amazon. I thought, well, what the heck? I might as well take the plunge. I'm ordering a lot of stuff. I happened upon the most disturbing movie, and it's been out a long time. I just haven't been able to see it yet. And it's about people in our industry, a movie called Tusk.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen that movie?
I have.
That disturbed the hell out of me. I realize it's old, it's aged, it's been out there.
It's Kevin Smith,
Yeah, it's Kevin Smith. Did that not disturb you? That movie?
Very much so, because you don't know which way it's going to go, and it's kind of a little bit jokey, and you don't know. No, it's a horror movie.
It is a horror movie, and then when he makes him into that walrus, of course, I'm assuming everyone that's listening to this show has seen the movie. I was the only one living under a rock that hadn't seen it yet, so I'm going to go out and assume that. It was a very dark and really disturbing movie, mainly because that could be you or me, man. I mean, we go on the road following leads here and there.
Sure, go out doing an interview.
Exactly. I mean, that could easily be us.
I know it. You're right. You gotta. You know what? The lesson from that is, and of course, many other things in life, you gotta always have your spidey senses up.
That's right, and always let everyone know where you're going. Yeah,
that's right.
And make sure that you don't go in after the candy in the van or anything. Because I guarantee you there's no puppies or candy.
And when they ask, do you live alone? Always say no.
Yep. Say, nope, they're in the shower right now.
Nope, there's a dozen of them. They're all
we're all hanging around. Yep, there's a group shower, don't you know? We're in a commune.
All right, so the Black Coat's Daughter, and that one comes out March 31st. Pretty cool trailer. If you click through from the America's Most Haunted Twitter feed. All right, next one. Pretty interesting story. Lots of times I like before it's news. Other times it's a little sensationalist and generic.
Sure.
But interesting story about quarries. And it is the author's thesis that quarries are magnets for ghosts, Bigfoots, and murder.
Why quarries?
Well, some of it's pretty logical.
I mean, but why not reservoirs?
They tend to be isolated. They're surrounded by rock,
Sure.
And they're filled with water, obviously, typically, or they're supposed to be. That's the point.
Yeah.
And so, it makes a lot of sense for where you're going to commit a murder and dump a body. Now, the Bigfoot thing, I'm not so sure about. I don't. That part didn't make so much sense to me. Yeah. But if there's murders there, then there absolutely ghosts there.
Well, sure, there could be. I totally get you, but why couldn't it have been a reservoir or a mining pit?
That's the extra thing that the author adds. He says, could there be a geological component to this? Because remember, you're talking about rock. It's hard rock. It's not dirt or anything. So are these rocks forming some sort of either attractive element or, like we've talked about in the past, storing energy, as in the case of a ghost?
Well,
especially
quartz rock has
residual.
Quartz rock has been shown to have environmental recording qualities to it.
Exactly. That's right.
And especially if you infuse a little bit of that quartz, or a little bit of gold, rather, with that quartz rock.
The piezoelectric effect
makes it even more so. So that really could be, there could be an argument that a lot of that is history replaying itself, mainly because a large amount of energy was discharged in the way of a murder, releases a large amount of emotional energy, which thereby gets recorded by the rock around it. So that would make perfect sense that it could be looping.
Exactly. So I don't agree with everything, but it's a pretty interesting article over on Before It's News. You can follow the link from the America's Most Haunted Twitter feed.
That's right. Make sure you go to Twitter. Join us, man. AM Haunted. Like I said, I go to Twitter, but I'm afraid of birds.
I don't blame you. After that tale. All right, another really interesting story. This from right here in Ohio. It's on a site called Visionary Living, and it's the story of the experience of a truck driver who was going back and forth very regularly between Dayton and Pittsburgh. And he saw on the side of the road, he was terrorized, in fact, by a man wearing a hoodie who had no face or hands.
What? That's insane. So he was terrorized with this guy with no face or hands, and he was wearing a hoodie. Did he stop to pick him up? I mean, I'm assuming in the story he had to slow down to interact with this being, and that is when he was terrorized, or did it appear in his vehicle? I mean, how did he end up interacting?
Well, it was on the side of the road.
Okay, yep.
And he went, he'd done this route for 7 years.
Oh, without seeing a weird thing, yeah, okay.
And nothing had happened. And this occurred in May of 2015. So this Phantom Hoodie man was standing on the side of the road and acting very strangely. And this was a Saturday night, Sunday morning around 1 a.m. Traffic was light. The driver passed, it was nothing unusual about the weather. He passed the mile marker near Zanesville, Ohio, and he was cruising along, and the guy was standing on the right shoulder. With a shock, the poor truck driver realized the figure was floating off the ground. It not only had no face and no hands, it had no feet.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be too inclined to interact with this specter. I think I'd hit that little pedal that's on the right-hand side and go even faster.
Yeah,
to get away from
pedal
it.
to the metal. All right, so he sees this. He's shocked, right?
Yeah.
As he passed the figure raised its head as if to look at him, but there was no
face.
Wow.
You
Empty
know,
blackness.
Wow, that's a great story, and that is, of course, visionaryliving.com, but you can read the whole article if you go over to AM Haunted over here on Twitter. Come join us. Take a look at the specter. They even drew a picture. Even the picture is scary.
It really is. It really is. And then the final thing that he's seeing in his rearview mirror as he's blasting out of there, the guy or the entity, whatever it was, its shoulder was flipping back and forth as quickly as possible. Like you would flip your hand back and forth. If you were waving as quickly as you possibly could, his shoulder was doing that.
That is weird. Now, this guy obviously was alone. It doesn't sound like he had other witnesses with him. So that's a strange, scary story. Does it give the route and road and everything?
Oh yeah, it sure does.
So if anyone reads that and you see the specter, let us know.
I-70.
Yeah, you should drive that. Hey, Eric, you should drive that.
I have.
You should.
I have.
You now that you've heard
I used to drive it. That's the main east-west highway. I went to school, not in Dayton, but near there in Springfield, Ohio, and I used to take that route all the time.
And you never saw anything weird?
I did. Well, not there.
Really?
No, not there.
Have you ever seen a road oddity that you couldn't explain?
Not. Well, other than the tale, which I know you've heard, I've told it more than once, about driving across town in Springfield when I encountered the bizarre, squatty little old woman with the frozen smile on her face who disappeared after she bounced off my car.
No, wait a minute. It's been a long time since he told that tale then, because I don't quite remember. Go ahead. Will you tell us, or our new audience, of course, over iHeartRadio, why don't you go ahead and tell them this tale? They're all new to it, man. It's like a new telling.
All right. So this is one of my absolute most bizarre experiences. I had several. I had about 4 really odd, very vivid, kind of no doubt about it, paranormal experiences in a very short period of time. In a period of maybe 5 years, in my late teens and very early 20s, I had these experiences all kind of, bunched together like that. I don't know why. My guess is by my early 20s, I married pretty young. I was only 23. By then, I thought, okay, I'm a grown up now. I'm getting married. I'm an adult. I'm not going to allow myself to be distracted.
Time to put the paranormal away. Yeah, time to put the paranormal away.
And there were years and years and years, decades, when I didn't really have any more experiences. That didn't start happening again until much more recently. So anyway, I was at college, and this was in Springfield, Ohio. And we got up, my girlfriend and I got up quite late. This was Sunday. We had been out, of course, Saturday night and drinking and doing all the things that students do. And we got up really late, like, early afternoon. And we said, okay, we want pizza, but we didn't want the pizza that was right by campus. So we said, let's go to the other pizza that's all the way across town. So we're driving across town. Springfield's a medium-sized city. It's maybe, I think at that time it was about 90,000. So it's medium. It's not big. It's not tiny.
Yeah.
It's a real city, but it's about the smallest you can be and be a real city.
Gotcha.
So we're driving across town. I'm on kind of the main north-south thoroughfare. It's 4 lanes. It's not fast, and there's a lot of lights. Probably speed limit's 35, and there are a lot of lights. So we're about halfway through town. I come to a light, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm stopped.
Mm-hmm.
So then I start, turns green. I'm pulling away from the light through the intersection. And out of the right corner of my eye, I'm, of course, watching the road. But on the side of the road, I see in my peripheral vision to the right this very short but rather thick, stocky figure would appear to be an elderly woman. And I just noticed, and for whatever reason, because she just looked odd, and she was standing kind of right on the curb looking toward the street. As we're driving, and I'm starting to pick up speed a little bit, I'm still going very slow, I'm starting to accelerate, and we're coming up to her, and all of a sudden she turns her head, her gaze right toward me.
Really?
And her eyes absolutely affix mine. I can't turn away. It's like I'm being mesmerized. And she has this horrifying, frozen, kind of Joker-like smile, evil smile on her face. Frozen smile.
So you're seeing this as she turns to look at you.
Yes.
As she has this frozen look on her face like the Joker might have.
Frozen smile. Huge, big, teeth-bearing, evil smile.
Did you get a feeling?
I had an unbelievable feeling. I've never felt more creeped out. Almost instantly, after her eyes locked onto mine, she ran right at my car.
What?
And it was like, Chico, man, how could she run that fast? She was like a bat out of hell. She just sprinted right at my car with still her eyes locked on mine. I am transfixed. I can't turn away. She runs at the car. Finally, at the absolute last second, I swerve to the left to try to avoid her. She still slams into the front right corner.
So you hit this chick.
Hit her.
You hit this chick.
Front right corner. She's bouncing along the side of the car like bomb, ba bomb, ba bomb, ba bomb, ba bomb. Okay. I look back. Okay. I mean, imagine. I look back. She's still got that horrifying grin on her face. Still, she kind of relocks my eyes behind me. Of course, I turn around again because I'm driving, and I had swerved to the left, so I'm trying to straighten out. I'm trying to, right the car, figure out what the hell just happened. I turn around again. I mean, this was a second, maybe 2 seconds later. I turn around a second time. Gone. Utterly.
So you
gone.
creamed this. Okay, you creamed this lady. You creamed this lady with, I'm assuming, a large car. We're not talking about a little smart car here. We're talking about a full size. Maybe back in the day they called them boats.
Four-door sedan,
exactly.
Mercury 4-door sedan.
Oh, so you hit her with some big American steel.
American steel.
And the chick tumbles.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
The chick tumbles
along the side, the right side of the car.
And so you hit her. I mean, did you think to yourself, oh, crap, I just hit somebody?
Well, I knew it was a glancing blow, because I had tried to avoid her. I mean, she would have run right into the front of the car. But because I swerved, it was more a glancing blow off the front, off the right.
You know what?
Front.
If I were you in that situation, I would have used the hood emblem as a crosshair, baby. That's right. Line her up right there.
But the freakiest part of all, other than that look on her face and the way she just utterly transfixed my eyes, she disappeared. And there was nowhere for her to go.
And you have never...
no side street. There was no alley. There was no way there was time for her to get into one of the storefronts, back, on the side of the road. No possible way. There just wasn't enough time.
Now, you had a passenger,
there
right?
One moment. Yes, my girlfriend.
So she saw this, right?
She was traumatized, utterly traumatized. Saw the whole thing, everywhere. I said, "Did you see that? Did that just happen?" Yes. And she turned around the exact same time I did to see her gone.
Wow.
Oh my! You want?
Damn.
Oh,
damn!
We were just staggered. We were stunned. We felt sick to our stomachs. It was unbelievable.
So
we didn't even talk about it again till that night. Hours later, we didn't even talk about it. It was just too traumatic.
Meanwhile,
and
you're in your house waiting for the police to call, saying, "We saw you hit this person." And I would have thought that. I would have been worried. It's crazy it disappeared. But B, I would have worried about killing somebody. So I would imagine everything that's going through your head, swirling through your mind after witnessing this.
Well, fortunately, as far as the killing her part, I still wasn't going that fast. I mean, maybe I had accelerated up to somewhere maybe between 10 and 15 miles an hour, which is not nothing.
Well, no, when you get 2,000 pounds of American steel.
But fortunately, like I said, because I swerved to the left, it was more of a glancing blow, and then she just kind of rolled along the side of the car like a bowling
I got to
pin.
ask you, when you looked back, you didn't see her anymore, though. But during the whole time you were hitting her, did you happen to notice that the grin left? Did the smile ever leave?
I never... I don't know, because when I did, by the time I turned around, I'd righted the car, I turned around, she was no longer bouncing off the car. We were past her by then, right? So by the time I turned around, she did still absolutely have the smile. So I don't know if she had the smile while she was bouncing around off the side of the car, but
that
she
is
had
absolutely.
it. We turned around and looked back, and you got to realize what a inhuman, unnatural smile.
Yeah, like
it would be like if you stretch the corners of your mouth as far as they'll go, and it freezes there, along with dark, evil eyes. That's what the smile was.
So you hit and run this lady, and you see this weird grin on her face. She could have been a homeless lady for all you know, mentally ill, and there you are creaming her, Eric.
I creamed.
You just boom hit her. You used the crosshairs. Exactly. Yeah. I'm just trying to be devil's advocate for the lady that can't speak for herself.
Listen to this, though. All right, so could the whole thing about been my imagination and my girlfriend's imagination? Well, no, because there were a couple of small dents on the side of my car that had not been there before.
Good point. I was just about to say maybe it's mass hallucination. Maybe
dents.
You both had the same bad pizza or something. But yes, the dents cannot be disputed. I mean, if you had dents from this collision and you hit what only can think would maybe be the old witch from the woods, and of course she took off, she definitely unnatural. If anything, it was definitely unnatural. Damn, man, I have nothing to compare to that as far as road goes, man. I have nothing.
I for decades had nightmares about that. I haven't for a while now. I'm trying to think maybe when the last time I did. But I would have
she ever appear in your room?
Vivid, like waking dreams of that experience.
We got a quick email, or actually it's off Facebook. Eric, does she ever appear in your room to this day? Maybe it's your very own old hag.
No, I've never seen that face again. But other than these dreams, and like I say, they were so vivid. It wasn't often, but it'd be like every few years or every 5 years or so. And this went on for quite a while. Now it's been, I don't know, maybe it's been at least 10 years. Maybe it's even been longer since I've had the dream. But those were not your normal dreams. They were really vivid, palpable dreams. So maybe that there's some meaning to that as well. I don't know.
That is weird. Lots of theories flying in. Boy, people are riveted by your story. Let's see. Could it have been a harbinger of the future, which I don't see how that would be relevant because he was only a kid. He had dents. Another one that's coming in. Is there any chance that, Eric, did you possibly see a being from another dimension?
Oh, anything's possible. Absolutely. I have no idea what that thing was. And of course, it was so bizarre and odd anyway, but then it disappeared.
That's the crazy part.
Really, really weird part. Now, is it remotely possible that somehow, some way, this person, ducked that quickly, behind something, or just got out of my line of sight, or made it into a store? I mean, I guess it's possible, but it sure didn't seem possible because it was just so quick. Yeah. I turn around, there she is, still glaring at me, right? I turn around again because I don't want to get in an accident. I want to run into anyone. Mm-hmm. And I'm, I got all this going on.
I hear you, man. I would have done the same thing.
And then I turn around again right away, and she was gone.
That is creepy.
Maybe it was a second. It couldn't have been more than a second.
That tops the list of creepiness that I've heard in a long time. I forgot about this tale, which I shouldn't have forgot about.
Very creepy. And
very
she was
creepy.
really short, like well under 5 feet, but stocky. And
like a troll.
Like a troll, and so quick. So speedy.
Quick.
Like, my God, like a spider, or Chico.
Chico's got nothing on her.
Chico has got nothing on this whatever.
Well, we got to run to Fox News. We come back though. We're gonna dive deeper into the paranormal. Maybe you can ask tonight's guest that very question.
What
she thinks it might be. Yes, maybe she'll have a great answer. But remember, we're giving away a book tonight, Llewellyn Publishing, courtesy of Llewellyn Publishing, Haunted Bridges, Rich Newman's new book. You're going to want to check it out. Tales from 300 different bridges across America. Be the first one to email me this correct answer, and you will own this copy that's in my hands. Who was Cleveland, Ohio's infamous, or not so, and maybe even famous, depending upon how you look at it, city safety officer installed in 1934? You answer that question with the correct answer and give me your mailing address, you'll own that copy. We come back, man. We talk all about paranormal education. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back right after this.
Fox News Radio, I'm Chris Foster. A Republican plan to replace Obamacare has made it through a second House committee. Live at the Capitol, here's Fox's Jared Halpern.
After more than 27 consecutive hours of debate and amendment votes, the House Energy and Commerce Committee has given initial approval to the Republican health care plan.
This is the closest we will ever get to repealing and replacing Obamacare.
House Speaker Paul Ryan, before that vote with sleeves rolled up, telling conservatives this Republican plan will make good on replacing and repealing Obamacare. The House Ways and Means Committee has also given initial approval to the plan. Chris.
Jared, the WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange is offering to share leaked CIA cybersecurity tools with technology companies to protect products against spying.
There's absolutely nothing to stop a random CIA officer or contractor or liaison agent working for the British using that technology against whoever they like.
The CIA has not confirmed that leak's authenticity. There's an accusation that American airstrikes are responsible for at least 14 civilian deaths in Syria Tuesday.
6 children are dead after airstrikes targeted a village held by ISIS in northern Syria was hit by airstrikes. The Britain-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights says it's believed the U.S.-led coalition struck Matab. The coalition has not confirmed the strikes. Matab is about 35 miles west of Raqqa, ISIS's de facto capital. The U.S.-led coalition is helping local troops in their attempt to oust the militants there. There are already some 500 U.S. troops on the ground and a couple hundred more have just been deployed.
Fox's Jessica Gallagher. A dozen more girls have died in hospitals, making it 31 deaths from a fire at a youth center in Guatemala. Somebody set fire to foam mattresses. You're listening to Fox News Radio, fair and balanced. President Trump has another rally scheduled in Nashville, Tennessee next Wednesday. It's his second since the inauguration after another one in Florida last month. 8 women are rescued in Georgia. A man's facing human trafficking charges.
Police in Sandy Springs, Georgia, rushed to a $1 million mansion after getting a 911 call from a woman claiming she and 7 others were being held captive.
Somebody threatened to kill you if you leave? Who's threatening to kill you? One of the girls? No, I'm boss.
The women all responded to ads for modeling jobs. Neighbors say they're aware the Atlanta Metro has a major human trafficking problem.
This has happened in other nice neighborhoods as well.
It's in everybody's backyard.
Police arrested 33-year-old Kendrick Roberts. Eben Brown, Fox News.
1.2 billion barrels worth of oil are reported to have been discovered in Alaska's North Slope by the Spanish energy company Repsol and Armstrong Energy based in Denver. A company statement says it's the largest onshore oil discovery in the U.S. in 3 decades. An earthquake, tsunami, and nuclear plant meltdown in Japan was 6 years ago this week.
A Japanese physician saying there is no apparent increase in cancer rates among people living near the Fukushima nuclear plant. He added a spike in recorded cases of thyroid cancer may be because testing is now more rigorous than before. But almost 6 years on, tens of thousands of people remain evacuees, another doctor saying, the biggest impact on health is mental stress. Many evacuees lost their friends and jobs and suffered discrimination in neighborhoods they moved to.
That's Fox's Alistair Wanklin in Tokyo. Police in Detroit say they've arrested a man who lived in a building that caught fire yesterday, killing 5 people. He's been arrested for arson. They say it may have followed an argument, but that's not confirmed yet. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News Radio.
Welcome back to After Hours AM, everybody. We're here to scare you. That's right. It's Thursday night. That's paranormal night around these parts. And you have already heard, and no, Eric did not kill your grandmother. But thank you for asking. He did not. All right? You could take it up with him later, but he didn't. I'm telling you. That was quite the tale that you told him. Thank you, Eric. And tonight is giveaway night, of course. Llewellyn Publishing has given us a brand spanking new copy of Haunted Bridges giveaway. That's Rich Newman's great new book, 300 of America's Creepiest Crossings. And you could own it if you answered our question correctly. In Cleveland, Ohio, okay, there was an infamous lawman that became Cleveland's first safety director. If you can tell me who that was, circa 1930s, think 1930s, think a long time ago, if you can tell me who that infamous lawman was from last night's show when we're talking to Mark Stone about Cleveland and crimes in Cleveland, with your answer and your address, your physical address, you will own this book if you're the first one. That being said, Eric, we got a great guest on tap, and why don't you tell the audience?
All righty, I certainly will. Beth Luscombe, I hope I pronounced that correctly.
You did very well. Gold
star.
Oh,
thank God. All right. Beth Luscombe is a lively and passionate Australian paranormal investigator, speaker, researcher, event coordinator, paranormal journalist, and producer of the Access ParaCast. Her ambition is to provide relevant and actionable educational information for paranormal investigators around the globe, I guess, through online learning. Beth has been investigating the paranormal for about 10 years, both as a member of Paranormal Team and as an independent investigator. In that time, she's figured out how to get started, what you need to know, and the best tools and resources. Beth's passion for the paranormal stems to as far back as she can remember. Premonitions and objects seemingly moving of their own accord fascinated her. In 2007, she decided to move to the UK to work and travel for 2 years. She loved it, finding the paranormal field to be much larger and more established there. She began to seriously investigate with paranormal groups based in London, notably the London Paranormal Society. She investigated London Dungeons, Middleton Hall, Winston Churchill War Rooms, London Tombs, Eastbury Manor, Valentine's Manor, and one of the most active she has come across, the Ragged School Museum. When Beth arrived back to Australia in 2009, she was, a tad disappointed, my friends. There was nowhere you could investigate in a public location like she had in the UK, nor could she find any information about Australian paranormal events. Luckily, with interest growing, the paranormal field has grown in Australia, so she thought, yes, I need to create something, a website somewhere where others can find this information, because she wasn't the only one, correct? Yes, I paraphrase there. And that is why Access Paranormal came to be. Since then, she has investigated additional locations around the world, such as Prospect Place, Waverly Hills Sanatorium, and the Queen Mary, where I had another story, another event there, but I won't talk about it. Beth is also a fully qualified first aider, a mental health first aider, holds training and development qualifications, and is currently a student of the School of Parapsychology. Welcome to the program, Beth Luscombe.
Hurrah! Thank you. Geez, you did really well.
He did. He's one of the best in the business. He didn't even barely breathe during that whole thing. But Beth, really, quite honestly, your website first. I like your website, but the content seems to be pretty solid. And really announcing you come on the show, of course, that triggers a lot of hard emotions when you talk about education in the paranormal. I've heard the gamut from, everything from, we should read and things like that. I guess the question, if I don't ask it, they will tar and feather me and run me out of after hours AMville. What makes you qualified to be a teacher?
That's a really good question. Reason being is that I have the experience, but also the way in which to interpret that experience in a way that people are actually going to find the information usable. So it's almost like a bit of an information interpreter, I guess you could say. So it's having the field experience, having the research experience, but then also grabbing that information, looking at it and going, as an investigator, what would I want to know when I'm out in the field? And it's interpreting that information and then providing it in a way that can be accessed anywhere around the world.
Very, very interesting. I'm looking at the site right now and things that you offer with the curriculum, and it seems that you kind of hit every base. And one thing that kind of struck me when I was on the site, though, is you mention a lot of modern sources, on which there's nothing wrong with that. But I don't see any Hans Holzer mentioned. I don't see any Dr. Barry Taft. I don't see any Brad Steiger. Is there a reason why you don't harken back to the 1960s and 70s as maybe the cornerstone of the teaching, or do you prefer to kind of jump to the here and now?
That's the option B. It's more sort of the more modern and the more modern style approach as well at the moment. That's kind of what I'm focusing on. There is a course I'm creating at the moment, which will obviously have where all this comes from, why we're doing what we're doing, what it's actually been based on. And like you mentioned, it's very important to understand how we've got to where we are. But a lot of it is very much in the here and now. So it's it's using the right tools or a different tool or a different, it's kind of bringing the common sense back into it a little bit as well. It's that kind of focus. But yeah, I agree with you that the historical side of it and where we've come from is equally as important.
Well, I only mention that because we have cases like, of course, you have, so many of them. Let me think of a couple. Let me pull them out of the hat. We have the Enfield poltergeist case, which still holds up today as some great, great stuff. I mean, really, it was groundbreaking, which that is hotly contested to this day, whether or not that's real. But still, it was the first time that the poltergeist phenomena was brought to the forefront in a lot of ways.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, there's still to this day controversy on if that actually did happen, if the girls weren't actually, hoaxing it or playing tricks on it at all. I mean, there was reports on there. I think they had law enforcement in there at some point, and people who have roles that are quite established, claiming and giving witness statements to saying that this actually happened. But yet, like you said, they're still misguidedness
what
in
do
the
you
sense
think?
that maybe this actually was a hoax.
I'm going to put you in the mat here for a second, even though we just got to know each other, Beth. What do you think? Do you think it was real? Do you think it was a hoax? Where do you stand on that case?
I'm leaning more towards hoax. But I'm open to the possibility. It's hard to say because things can be interpreted so many different ways from different people. So it depends what case, depends which person you're researching who was on that case. You'll have your for and against. It's really hard. And as time goes on, sometimes information can actually be skewed too. So I just wish I could go into time. People say, I wish I could go in a time machine and go to the medieval times. I'm like, I want to go to that case.
That would be beautiful if we could. Heck, I'd be in a time machine going back to the Bell Witch case. If I could, hey, let me hear the chicks, talking out of nowhere. All right. Yeah, that's awesome. And Eric and I, we've been doing a radio a long time. Both of us have been investigating for years. I've been doing this. You've probably been doing it longer, about 20 years, I suppose, give or take. Not that matters. I get that. I see that word or that number thrown around a lot. Like it means something. Just because you're doing something for 20 years doesn't mean you weren't doing it for 20 years wrong.
Yes. Yes, so true. Wow, you have no idea how much I agree with you with that. Very true.
So I mean, I see that a lot, and again, this is not to put down the paranormal or in any way, but I think that having an established place that we could have that could open up the doors that was affiliated, and there's nothing wrong with your schooling whatsoever, so don't take this as a slight against you at all. It would be nice if one of the colleges would open it up and have an actual course for this, a real deal. Science will lend their hand to you to teach you the way we want you to do it so we can study your evidence.
Yes, give it the respect it deserves.
Exactly. Why, in your opinion, hasn't that happened yet?
Oh, it's
boy. I'm a bugger, aren't I? I'm a bugger, aren't I? I just keep on hitting.
Oh no, I love your questioning, and you make a lot of sense with this. I remember I was chatting with a well-known parapsychologist in the UK, and I said, do you still? And this is what we say in Australia. Do you still get bagged out by your science mates? And he said, yeah, sometimes they will look at what he does as a bit of a joke. It's not considered proper science. It's parapsychology. Mm-hmm. So I think there's still that attitude. I think that's a big part of what's holding it back. I also think that because people do see a style of investigator that will wander out with an EMF detector and not really know the reasons why they're doing it. So I think there can be a bit of that they say, well, if we're going to put a course on, then is it just to educate these kinds of investigators? I think sometimes that could also be something that would stop an institution from moving forward and actually creating something that has an academic background and a qualification to it, or some sort of recognition to it.
Yeah, I would totally agree. Eric, what's your thoughts on this? I mean, you've been around the block a time or 20.
I have been around the block. I think that I like actually the fact that certainly 10 years is not nothing. That's a decade. That's a lot of time, especially if you've been really focusing on something and putting a lot of time and effort into it. But I also like the fact that 10 years is not a lifetime. So I like the fact that you are in some ways relatively new to the field, so that I think you have kind of fresh eyes, perhaps, that others do not. And having said that, I think we have so many listeners out there who are either investigators themselves, or they're certainly potentially interested in being investigators. So I would love for you to just kind of run through what you see as the real basics of the field. And then, of course, specifically, how are you providing that training? Because I think people would love to know if this is something that they can get into, and what you see the main elements and strictures being.
First thing, there are many different styles of investigating, and that's one thing I always say is this is just a different way of doing it. It's not saying everybody has to investigate using this way, this method. That's it. Thanks for coming. Yeah. Also, the information I provide, I keep it as, how to delicately put this, as faith-based less as possible. So no faith
you keep involved a secular. In it. So you kind of keep a secular.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter, with all respect, doesn't matter what you believe. You could still follow through the information. You can still read it. It's very much just because we're looking at signs of possible afterlife doesn't necessarily mean we have to believe there is an afterlife as well. So it's very, very much the common sense side of it. It's kind of stripping it back a little bit more. And, they say bringing sexy back. It's kind of bringing common sense back a little bit. So it's that whole, let's look at what's actually just occurred. If you have experienced something, all right, what could explain it first naturally before we jump on the paranormal bandwagon? We've all been there. We're all human. We at some point have done so. I remember looking at my first picture of a dust orb thinking, oh, this would be fascinating. Almost 10 years later, it's a very different story. So it's also respecting the journey as well. We're all going to,
A lot of us have to recognize pareidolia, number one, and the effects it has on our eye and our mind, and how our own minds work when we perceive things is huge. We have an understanding of that. Number one, are far less likely to fall prey to not so reliable evidence. And so that's really, I want to say, in my opinion, the number one thing to really train is your own mind. I mean, you'll learn your mind before you learn the other tools, because that's your number one tool.
Absolutely, 100%. Absolutely. You don't have to be a fully qualified psychologist to know the basics. And that's another thing I'm a big believer in as well. There is reliable information if you know where to look, where you can find the basics of understanding how our brains interpret information, how we see things, how we're built to survive. We're built to have fear and be able to get out and make it out alive, and how that actually affects us when we're investigating paranormal phenomena.
Mm-hmm. Well, exactly, because lately, of course, we got a flood. When I first started, I was the weird kid because I like ghosts, and I, had my little recorder and my camera, and now it's a flood. You can't go anywhere without running into the paranormal. But back in those days, we were lucky to have a book, a recorder, and a flashlight if your mom gave you batteries and a camera. That kind of thing has come so far. And do you think the reason it came so far so fast obviously has to be paramedia? The advent of ghost hunters hitting the airwaves, because I was a big In Search of fan. Back when Spock, Leonard Nimoy, was of course the host. And that intrigued me to no end. But how many of these people sign up for a course like yours or anyone else's course? Because there are a few others out there, but this yours seems to be very, very well put together, by the way, I might add. How many of them come with this false thought of, I'm going to be rich, I'm going to be famous because I saw it on Ghost Hunters?
There's a fair few I've crossed paths with, I'll be honest, and there will always be a fair few as well. The fact that people become well known can actually help a person with the cause if there's a certain way in which they investigate, or a certain style, or if they've got certain equipment. Sometimes having that publicity can help. But yeah, there are a certain level of people, I agree, that definitely look at it as a fast track to some sort of fame.
The reason why
I'm collecting.
Yeah, I don't mean to stand on you, because I'm really excited. I just read this news story that there's an investigator out in Nevada, and his name rhymes with Aggins, and he bought the Dybbuk box of all things. Mm-hmm. And now, from what I understand, the Dybbuk box is not something to be trifled with. If you buy into the stories, this thing's a deadly piece of paranormal artifact. Mm. Well, if you read the story, and of course I'm not going to quote him to say it because the story goes into detail. We don't know how much liberties this particular writer took with the story. But it sounds like he's going to open up the Dybbuk box and throw caution to the wind and see what happens. Mm-hmm. Where do you stand on these haunted objects and the danger of them that seems to be rearing its head lately?
I think the field goes through phases, and because of media. So for the last sort of 3-ish years, it's been demonic activity, and now it's starting to go into sort of haunted objects. So really nasty haunted objects type style seems to be the fad at the moment. And this, I can see, will probably be around for a good couple of years as well. Me personally, where I stand with it, I think, again, it's definitely down to belief. If you believe you're going to have something bad happen to you, when you do open that thing, something bad happens, you're going to attribute it to that object. Technically, ghosts, spirits, energies, the afterlife doesn't exist. Science says it doesn't exist as we stand, sit, today. So, but, obviously that there is something going on, because people are experiencing quite a bit of interesting activity when they do and have opened these particular devices or bought them. I mean, the ones on eBay, we've all seen those. They've been really interesting. Here, have a haunted doll.
Exactly.
I know,
exactly. Exactly. And after the break, we're going to get into thought forms with you a little bit.
Oh,
and
cool.
I kind of want to know your feeling on the thought form thing, because there's a few famous cases out there that people have just been clamoring for us to talk about. Again, Eric, you know which one I'm talking about. And maybe we can get into thought
Olivia,
forms.
baby.
Exactly. If you know anything about that case. If you don't, I just want to get your knee-jerk reaction on thought forms after the break, of course, because that has been another hot topic. But now when somebody comes to sign up for your school, I guess the question is, how do you get in? I mean, how much do you charge? Is there different levels? How does it really work?
Well, there's a free mini course that is about just the three key areas of debunking. So if people want to get in there and have a bit of an idea of how the teaching style is, what it looks like, what the system is, it's done by a system called Teachable, which is a learning management system. So literally, in fancy pants words, all that means is you have a login and an email, you jump on in, it opens up and then actually gives you training videos set aside, and you click on those and you go through them as well, and it has a form for to work through as well as you're going through it too. So there's so that's the first part of it. And people really get a lot out of that. Then there's the actual paid one, which is $97 US. And that actually goes through 5 common areas that come up a lot when it comes to debunking and paranormal investigating. The 5 most common that you'll ever come across. And it pulls it apart in a way where you'll actually know how it affects when you're out there investigating, what to do when you're out there investigating, and also more about what it actually is. And it breaks it down in a way that it simplifies it. I mean, a lot of investigators are visual learners. We're hands-on, we're kinetics. We kind of move and do and learn on the job. And that's what this learning material has been created with this in mind. And that's where it's got demonstrations and training in there, and how to navigate through these particular issues if you're dealing with a case that may have something like infrasound or high EMF.
John would like to know, I just got an email from John, he's a listener, and he says, hey, by the way, great website, he actually adds in his email. He would like to know your thoughts on, wouldn't it be more important in conjunction with your training guide to have a mentor?
I do have a secret mentor, actually.
But do you think that people should have one when they're taking your course? Like having an old dog like me hanging around that's kind of seen it all, done it all, and, could probably write a book, and then have that in conjunction with your distance learning, I think is where
I have definitely had a look at having that as part of it as well. This is all very, very new, as you said, and I'm all very open to feedback, but that has been something that has come up. So to John, I think I am definitely looking into doing something like that, and as I said, it would have to be the right person as well.
Definitely. I agree. I do believe that the education, I'm looking at it, and I've been asked to pimp out a lot of educational paranormal tools over the years. Say, hey, this is great, and give it a big old thumbs up. But I do have to say, looking through yours, kind of thumbing through it, just the first blush, it's very well put together. Seems to have a lot of meat to it. And I really I'm digging it. I really am. I think there's a lot to offer. I enjoy the fact that you don't start right away with charging people money. You let them get into the course first. I appreciate that. It's not beating them over the head just to get the money. No. You actually offer some substance first. And that's that. Yeah, I just got to give you kudos on that. Not everybody does that anymore.
Thank you. And that's why one of the accessparanormal.com/learning is the best page at the moment. I've got all sorts of free stuff on there that people can watch and download. And look, I do weekly live videos as well on Facebook about questions that people are curious about, called I Want to Know. It's a heap of free stuff there, so people can actually say and look and make their own judgment whether or not they want to move forward on a paid course, which is a lot more in depth as well. So just kind of throw yourself out there.
The thing of it is, though, is whether or not, okay, it's like I always tell people, you would spend that money on anything. Okay, not to be a promo for you, but quite honestly, what you're asking for, the bulk of teaching that you're giving, that's a fair price.
Well, it's under $10
exactly. Yeah, I'm looking at this, and it's under $10 a month, and it's not like it's give me $10,000 and I will show you all the secrets to the afterlife. Whoa! No, it's down to earth. It costs you money. There's operating costs with this. There has to be.
Yes.
And so it doesn't seem like you're asking an ungodly amount of money.
And it's structured in a way, and this was also equally as important, where people can go back to refer to it. So if you think you might be coming across a case where confirmation bias, which is rife through anyone, let alone just the paranormal, you can actually go back to a section of that course where it says what to do when you think you're encountering confirmation bias in a case. So that's a separate section together. So it's built not just with learning, but also reference in mind as well, because we are busy people. We do this because we love it. We don't get paid to do it. So It's got to be something that's going to save time. And once you've completed it, I'm not going to retain anything I've just watched or written about a year ago. So it's got to be something that people can actually go back in and refer and get that information as soon as they can.
Very cool. And, and I like what you said. You're doing it for the love of the game, so to speak. It's not to a get-rich scheme, because, of course, over the years, there have been a lot of individuals involved in paranormal that saw dollar signs because they thought that they could get into the paranormal, make some money, and get out. And I don't see that with you guys, and I would just want to say that makes me happy because I'm one of the guys that would scream at those people. What the hell are you doing? That's never a real Bigfoot, Rick Dyer. Don't even tell me that kind of stuff. So, generally on this show, Eric and I have taken a few people to task here and there. But if we didn't believe it, we wouldn't say it on air. And it's a good-looking system. We got to run a break. We come back. We're going to talk thought forms, gadgetry, how to spot. Maybe she'll talk to us about how to spot a hoax from far off. But remember,
Science 5.
Exactly. And we are giving away a book tonight, Haunted Bridges, Rich Newman, Llewellyn Publishing, 300 America's creepiest locations, crossings, all that kind of good stuff. And there is a question you must answer to win this copy. I have in my very, very own hands. Please answer this question. Cleveland, Ohio had a very infamous or famous, depending upon how you look at him, lawman in 1934. He served as city safety director. If you can tell me that at afterhoursam@gmail.com with the answer and your address, you will win this copy of this book. When we come back, more paranormal fun. Don't go anywhere. Be right back right after this. Hey, you're listening to After Hours AM, and if you're listening to us via podcast, make sure you like us, follow us, review us, tell your friends about us, tell grandma about us, and keep listening.
Hi, Tom Bodette. If pop culture is to be believed, roughly 40% of all people are actually vampires, or dating one. Well, undead or not, you can always save on a clean, comfortable room at Motel 6, even if you sleep during the day because direct sunlight turns you into a pile of sparkly coffee grounds. Speaking of which, we have free coffee every morning. You day sleepers may want to go for the decaf. I'm Tom Bodette, and we'll leave the light on for you. Book online at motel6.com.
Anavar Media LCC is a dedicated team of professionals committed to helping business development scale and protect their websites, mobile applications, enterprise software solutions in the Northeast Ohio area. Locally owned since 2012, our client-centered values truly sets Anavar apart. Contact us today to learn how you can get 25% off your first project. Call them at 234-380-4852. Again, that's 234-380-4852, or visit them at www.anavar.com. Again, that's www.anavar.com.
Taking a family of 5 to the amusement park can cost a small fortune.
Oh, yeah. So to save some money, we thought, hey, let's bring the amusement park to us. Yeah. Go ahead.
All right, step right up, young man. Are you ready to ride the wacky waterfall?
That's just the bathtub with the shower head running.
Nope, it's the wacky waterfall.
It's the shower, Dad.
Waterfall.
Wacky.
There's an easier way to save. To get a free rate quote, go to geico.com. Then buy online, over the phone, or at your local Geico office.
Hey, everybody, this is Joel Sturgis. And did you know that After Hours AM and America's Most Haunted have a great new website out there? You're going to want to visit America's-most-haunted.com. There you can get all the new content from all the writers for America's Most Haunted, as well as the great haunted headlines everybody loves each and every week, as well as catch After Hours AM live right there, along with podcasts, past shows, and get to know your hosts, as well as contact us all in one stop. You're going to love it. You're not going to want to go anywhere else. So come to America's-most-haunted.com today.
You're listening to After Hours AM, the best in alternative talk radio. Got a question, comment, guest suggestion, or just want to say hi? Contact us at afterhoursam@gmail.com. That's afterhoursam@gmail.com. Want to call the show and be interactive? That's easy. The number is 612-326-6874. Again, the number is 612-326-6874. And thank you for listening. And welcome back to After Hours AM, everybody. I'm your host, Joel Sturgis. Right along with me is the wingman that runs over little guys that make cookies.
Well, yes, especially if they're women, and it's Eric Olsen. Yes, indeed.
Well, everybody was asking me during the break, what is it? Was it possibly a Keebler elf Eric hit? And if so, possible. Did it leave any of those nice striped cookies behind?
I thought you were going to say on my car, yeah. Anything is possible, my friends. It was a bizarre experience. I have no answers.
No answers at this point, but we will dig deeper into that tale one day, but let's get back.
Interdimensional,
it really
demon,
could have been anything.
Thought form, witch, apparition,
really,
God knows.
It really could have been really anything. And of course, everyone that's just tuning in, you too can own a copy, I'll say it again, of Rich Newman's new book, Haunted Bridges, courtesy Llewellyn Publishing. You can have your very own copy if you answer the question in Cleveland, Ohio, who was the infamous or famous, depending upon how you look at him, city safety manager during the 1930s. So if you can get that to me at afterhoursam@gmail.com, be the first person to do that with your name, address, and answer, I will send you this book. Courtesy, again, of Llewellyn Publishing. Okay, getting back right at it, Beth. Okay, I got a question for you. Is there a possibility in your mind, and then this is kind of out there, so be prepared for me to blow your mind. Is there a possibility that all of this paranormal stuff is thought forms?
Ooh, I don't think we should rule it out, that's for sure. Until there's a definitive yes or definitive no, I think we should at least explore that. I think it could very well be that, especially for mediumship, particularly for mediumship.
Because think of all the energy, mental energy we're putting into the paranormal, especially right now. Because we have this mass media now, that we all can put our collective minds into it at once. And I've seen some very compelling evidence for the existence of thought forms. In fact, the Philip experiment is a great experiment to prove that, yes, you can make a ghost if you so choose to. And that, of course, was the basis for the movie The Quiet Ones. And lately, within the last 5 years, Eric and I have been hearing a case, and you may not be familiar with it. Olivia Mabel was her name. And she was found in Texas dead at an altar to her child. Her child had died, and she was a doting mother, and she just couldn't take the the thought of her child being dead. So she constructed an altar to his likeness. And some believe that this thought form came and killed her. Those stories are out there like that, of these thought forms that are, you can either program a thought form to do good, or you can program a thought form to do bad. Or do you think that when you do make a thought form, you don't have an intent in mind, they're able to have free reign?
I was actually about to ask you if you believe that, are all thought forms possibly created consciously, or do you think people can actually unconsciously do it?
I think unconsciously to some extent, because, our unconscious mind is way more powerful than our conscious mind.
Yeah.
Our unconscious does a lot of weird things. That even to our own bodies, there are people that have the old saying, if you think about it, it'll come about. Think about it, it'll come about. That whole thing. Think about it hard enough, it will come about. Could thought forms be a product of thinking about it so much it finally did come about? As long as I don't start thinking too much about flesh-eating zombies, I'm cool. All right, okay? I'm cool. I don't want to live in the Walking Dead universe. But that being said, thought forms are a fascinating thing for both Eric and I, because that gives us, that almost puts us in some ways, in some circles, some people have said that puts us on par with God. We can create.
Well, I say, there's the law of thermodynamics eventually when I get the word out. People will often say that could be a sort of a branch of that, or part or explanation of that, energy doesn't die, it just changes form. But, often, in the paranormal, that's used for bodies that obviously are decomposing and the spirit leaves. But people also don't realize that when the body's decomposing, it actually does use up the energy because it's got to go somewhere.
Well, yes, it does. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Something has to happen. And now, during the break, Eric brought up a great point. And he brought up safety in the paranormal. And not just like being safeguarded against the, blood-curdling fires from hell demons, but physical safety. Have you noticed a lot more people running into, I guess, for better lack of the word, on-the-job injuries?
Yeah, I've been very aware that there are a couple of teams here in Australia that are actually taking safety very seriously. Also, sorry, there's some sawing going in the back. Apologies if you can hear that. I'm having the deck of my house rebuilt, so occasionally it sounds like someone's being hacked away. So
that's all right. We just thought you were trying to get rid of the body of your last victim.
Oh, that's what we do in Australia. That's how we deal with
that's
enemies.
Right.
But,
you got to do what you got to do, mate.
Yep, that's right, mate. There you go. But no, it's very much they're taking safety very seriously. But I do agree there are some groups and some investigators out there that, I must admit, do actually watch programs or see in the media that these people go into places, and obviously if it's abandoned and it could be something that's obviously been left behind, so they go in, all sorts of dangers. It's dark, they're not protected. They haven't done a site walk during the day. They haven't prepared themselves for it. And like you mentioned before, you've got breathing issues from going into these kinds of places. Like these things aren't just short term. They can stay with you for life. So we've got to be really careful. But yeah, it happens here in Australia as well. I mean, sometimes fires are started in abandoned places, and the beautiful, dilapidated buildings that have a chance of life have just gone because fires have been started from whatever hell has happened, and that's a piece of history that's gone.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing of it is also is, I was talking to a doctor recently about COPD. And COPD can be caused by not just smoking, it's aggravation of the lungs. And so over long-term exposure to things as dust that are contaminated with, chemicals and everything else that were used back in those days, you're actually putting yourself in danger for a real lung disease. And that's that's kind of a scary thing, You're going in there after ghosts, but yet you're going to put your body and possibly, especially if it's asbestos, your children at risk.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. It's not just, doesn't stop with you on that day. It's something that can carry on, like you said, for life or for the lives afterwards.
Yeah, it is something else, and no one ever thought about this, because when we were kids, and, we're kind of, I'll be honest, breaking into places to find out, what is haunted back in the day, You're in there and, you're here. You don't think about the dust that you're breathing in. You're in there where you shouldn't be in there, and you're having a good time trying to look for ghosts. Now, have you seen over the years some paranormal places that are of some fame try to clean up the atmosphere in any of these places?
When you say, you mean physically clean up the place?
Yeah. Physically clean it so it's not so harmful anymore to the participants.
Yeah, there is, especially if it's a public tour. They definitely have. Of course, they have, a duty of care with the people that are going through it. Absolutely. Definitely that case here in Australia. There's no way a business will run if it's even somewhat slightly unsafe. But sometimes it can be groups or tours that will try and start a sort of a tour of a location that it's only through Facebook and it's not really well known, and they'll sell a couple of tickets on the side and get people through to like you said, the same peeps that just want a bit of cash and a bit of quick money, and yet the location is extremely unsafe, and that has happened in the past as well.
Exactly. Oh, regarding the giveaway, I got to tell everyone it was not John Dillinger. I just want to let everybody know that's been emailing me that John Dillinger was the lawman. It was not John Dillinger. All right.
No, all you guys gotta do is go back and listen. All you gotta do is read the. You don't even have to listen to the show. Read the article of last night's show on America's-most-haunted.com, and it will become very evident. It's in the subtitle. Hint, hint. Who this person is, who came to Cleveland from Chicago. He was a lawman. He solved the torso murder case.
Some say he was untouchable.
Some might even go so far as to say he resembled Kevin Costner. So think about all these things and then win your flippin' book.
Exactly. At afterhoursam@gmail.com.
Before we forget, I'm sorry, go ahead. Yes, give that address.
At afterhoursam@gmail.com. We still love you anyway. Don't worry.
Yeah, we do.
We still love you.
We do, even if you're being silly. All right, so before I forget about this whole, potential danger thing, just one more thing. I'm wondering, since it sounds like you take, quite a scientific, a non-religious approach to the paranormal, in terms of keeping yourself safe, do you have any thoughts or any processes whereby you would seek to protect yourself on a spiritual level rather than on a physical level, as we were talking about with breathing apparatus, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera?
I'm glad you asked, because I don't do anything. I'm there to experience. I'm there to find out if there is anything there. Have I felt scared or fear at an investigation? I have in the past. But I'm there to experience it. If I feel that I go in there with a great big shield, on a spiritual level, then I kind of defeat the purpose of finding out if there's answers. Now, when I do roll out the information I have on my website in my course, I leave that up to the investigator. So if it's whatever people feel comfortable with, if they want to do that and they feel better, then do that. But for me, I don't personally, and I think for me as a profession, in that way, I definitely wouldn't, because I think I kind of negate the whole purpose of seeing if there is anything there.
Well, let me bring out the big old buzzword of the last decade. Demons. Yeah,
you said the D word.
I did. Demons. Are they as...
I thought that was divorce.
Well, yes, but that's the new D word now, is demons. Now, in your opinion, are they as prevalent, Beth, as people would like to tell me they are? Like every other story I get, God bless you all. Don't get me wrong, I love each and every one of you. But you all don't have demons in your homes. Are they as prevalent, or are they just the boogeyman that everyone likes to say, oh, there's a demon in there, just to get that much more scare factor going?
Oh, option B. I'm with you with that one. I do deal with a lot of cases where someone will say, look, all the cupboards have come off the kitchen cabinets, and I believe it's demonic. I'm like, okay, then, so what sort of Christian or Catholic faith do you have? Oh, I don't have one. All right, well then, what gave you the impression that it was demonic? What else has happened? Oh, it's just that. Okay, and then you start to pull back, and like you said, you realize it's not demonic. How do you know that it's that? It could be, there could be 50 different reasons why that's happened, but like you said, it's this. Everyone is very, very scared of something that, in my mind, I don't personally believe, because I am not Christian or Catholic, and that I think that is a core value that people seem to forget. They say demon and demonic, and yet they're not baptized or Christian or in that way. But there's so many different reasons why something could be happening, and we just jump straight to that sometimes. And I think investigators and just obviously the public as well can be very, very scared of it. It's really, like you said, it's the buzzword, and most of the time, I mean, it's so rare if it exists at all. That's the other thing.
Well, exactly, and I have yet to see any evidence to support it.
Yeah.
Real hardcore, here's the demon. I mean, although people claim to have the evidence, I'm not saying you don't, but I have yet to see it personally. Now, one more quick thing before we talk more about your school and the website and stuff. What about mental illness? How much does mental illness play in the people reporting the haunting? Do you see an uptick in that, or is that just something that is just par for the course? That you just assume they're crazy until you figure it out?
I think it's very much a huge factor with reports of paranormal activity. I think it's also something that investigators need to be aware of from a semi-professional way. And I say that in the sense where, and I know it's available in the USA where you guys are, and also in the UK, there is a mental health first aid course, which you can actually go and do, and it works on the same principles as first aid. Mm-hmm. And what it is help when someone's having a mental health crisis, you're able to be there to help them until actual more help arrives. And it's a fantastic 2-day course here in Australia. I think it's the same where you guys are. And it helps give you the foundation in dealing and looking at the signs of people who are displaying mental illness. And I gave a presentation, and I'm actually going to give this presentation next month, actually, for another paranormal group about paranormal experiences versus mental health illness.
Yeah.
And the similarities of that. So, how similar does schizophrenia look towards someone experiencing a mental illness and, having a paranormal experience? And let's look at this logistically, because we will come across these cases if we are doing private or residential cases. This will come up at some point. Not to say that every person who has a paranormal experience does have a mental illness, but being aware of it is so important. And just being aware is enough, because once we are aware, then we refer them to a specialist. We refer them to a medical specialist, or provide information. We don't take the case on. It is well and truly, even if you are a qualified psychologist, you're there to investigate paranormal phenomena only. You're not there to get clients. It's one or the other. And so, refer them to a medical health professional but there's a certain criteria and there's certain signs to look out for. I think it's very, very important.
Beth, I got to say this. We do a true crime show every Wednesday night. And since we start talking more about serial killers, I think twice about going on residential investigations, all right? I'm like, just did a show about a guy that maybe got murdered and similar. Yep, I'm good. Go ahead, Ted Bundy. You have rock on to your bad self. Is crime... Eric, I know, chime in here, because you're going to put it way better than I will.
What am I putting way better now?
Do you think, Eric and Beth alike, the crime that... Is there a real possibility to run into like a serial killer as an investigator?
You mean a real one, or
I'm talking about the real deal. I'm talking about Buffalo Bill with the hole in his basement. It puts the lotion on its skin or it gets the hose again. Kind of circumstance. Does that not go through your head? I mean, it does mine now.
Well, if it's a new place, kind of a newfound place that's off the beaten track.
Oh, I'm talking about come into my house. I have a ghost.
Oh, I see. An invitation. I see.
Exactly.
Sure, absolutely. We were just talking about this.
I know.
It's on air or off. You gotta have your spidey sense, really seriously, at all times. And if something doesn't feel right, you're much better off bugging out of there, And I mean, the age-old question, I saw it on some TV show last night, do you live alone? Well, the answer is always no. The same going the other way. You know? Are you here to investigate alone? No, I brought my spiritual friends with me.
Yes, I did. And they're in
my
the car.
Friends are here. Yes, certainly. I mean, in anywhere at any time. I mean, you just never know. And I think about this fairly often. I live in a really statistically extremely safe area. There's like one murder every 3-4 years in this town. There's really very little crime. There's not none, but there's very little. But the bottom line is that doesn't mean anything. Statistics don't mean anything looking forward. Statistics look backwards. You still never know when something's going to happen.
Eric, they thought John Wayne Gacy was a hell of a guy till they went in his crawl space.
Exactly. That is exactly my point. You always have to have your spidey sense. Now, I'm about as far as you can get from paranoid. I am not paranoid, and I do not assume the worst about people. It actually takes a fair amount. But I also pay attention, and you pick up the vibe and what's going on. If something just kind of feels off, head the other way. You have other opportunities.
Well, what do you
and
tell?
That applies to any situation.
Beth,
investigations.
Exactly. I was just
daily
gonna
life.
I was going to ask Beth, what do you tell your students about that?
First thing, never, ever go to someone's house on your own. Even if you're just a male or just a female, never. It's just a given. I actually prefer, or I encourage people as a team to go because you're also getting a lot of other team members' thoughts on the case. But even before it gets to that point, have a really robust interview process. Sure, there's things that you're probably not going to know because it really is up to what the clients will tell you, what they will reveal. Sometimes they don't tell you if there's drug use or any sort of criminal past or anything, but like you said, your spidey sense really do kick in sometimes. I think also asking the same kind of questions over and over as well, ascertaining whether or not the information is false or truth, because as we know, the lies are harder to remember. So having a really good interview process and a multiple one as well, I think will help eliminate that more. And then actually, if you do get to the interview stage or site walk, not even an investigation yet, then you can, as a group, definitely not on your own, you're able to pick up a lot more in that regard.
Good answer. I like your answer. Safety in numbers. And also you get a more round picture of what's going on, what everybody thinks. So it's kind of killing two birds with one stone. And it really has good sound advice because,
Sounded like Clarissa there.
It did. It really did.
What's with the accent?
Yeah, exactly.
We've heard her say just that very phrase you used. Lies are harder to remember, and I think that really makes sense.
Yes, that is
psychologically very sound.
And these are the things that as investigators, this is what we need to know. It's not something that's light and fluffy. This should be part of our toolkit.
Well, hey, I was Mr. Happy-Go-Lucky till I started doing a true crime show, okay? And now I'm like, what's around me? Who's around? That guy looks a little sketchy over there. That whole thing. But really very solid advice. And, of course, anyone that's listening, you can go to accessparanormal.com. You can find out more about the school. Beth Luscombe has put together, am I pronouncing your last name correctly, Luscombe?
It was totally fine. I blame my husband.
Cool.
I had a nice, normal maiden name until I got
Well,
married.
I was just making sure I was doing that right, because you have such a beautiful Australian accent. I could listen to you all night, and I could talk about this subject matter all night. But why don't you, Beth, why don't you tell people how they can sign up for the course, what they can expect, what kind of bang for their buck they can expect, all that kind of good stuff.
Cool, yeah. So the best place to head to is accessparanormal.com/learning. So you'll have all the free stuff, all the little tips and tricks and ideas and stuff that can help you investigate a little more and a little better as well. Some ideas and information that I've found out and that have helped me as well as other investigators that I know. Also on there will be the link to the course, the Science 5, which are the 5 topics of science and psychology that you will more than likely come across when you're out investigating. And it doesn't necessarily have to be just private or residential cases. It can also be public ones as well when you've hired a location or a historic location too. And it goes through and breaks it down into what it is, how it affects investigating, and what to do about it when you've actually you've come across this particular topic. So it's really good, practical, hands-on information. There's a workbook with each and every module as well, so you can actually work through it with each of the videos too. So you've got that record there, and you can take that with you out to site.
Very cool.
Oh, and it's $97.
Well, it's $97 and change, but it's well worth it. It looks to be well worth it. I mean, if anything, it's a good tool to look back on. It's also a good place to really, it looks like you have a big directory of teams. Teams can kind of talk with each other, and there's even job opportunities. You hiring?
I wish. Well, because I'm in it for the money, you see, I can hire anybody.
Exactly.
So.
I was going to say, radio doesn't pay all that great, and and I'm always on the lookout for a side gig. And no, I'm just kidding, of course. But definitely visit the website, and it's really well put together. You get a lot out of it. To be honest with you, Beth, I was skeptical coming into this interview. Quite honestly, because Eric and we might have seen a few of these schools here and there that didn't have near the bones yours does, so to speak. I mean, really fleshes things out and teaches a lot of cool things. And maybe down the road, you can do a little more podcasting. I'm just saying, a little bit longer podcast. I'm just saying.
Yeah, 15 minutes goes so quickly when you're having fun.
It really does. And thank you so much for coming on the show. And we had a lot of fun. Hey, guys, the book is still available. Haunted Bridges. And yes, tons of emails. I will be going through them. But for our podcast crowd, I'll throw in one more book. All right, let's do 2 books. All right, 2 books. 2 books, 2 Haunted Bridges. Llewellyn sent me 3. I was going to keep 2 of them for myself, but go ahead. Let's do 2 books. And the first 2 people to answer the question correctly, Cleveland, Ohio City safety director circa 1930s. Who was that famous lawman? Who was that guy? Answer that correctly and go to afterhours8am@gmail.com. Give me your answer, give me your name, and give me your physical mailing address. If you win, you too will have a copy of this awesome book. Until next time, everyone, take care of each other, love each other, and keep learning about the paranormal. That is what pushes this field forward, is fresh thoughts, fresh ideas, and just keep on plugging away. We love you all, and be safe out there.
Thank you for listening to this edition of After Hours AM, and please remember to like us on Facebook and also follow us over on Twitter.